Sound Mind and Body is supported by My Body Tutor. Lose weight, look great, and get the confidence you deserve with your own weight loss coach that will help you stick to your weight loss plan by providing daily and personal accountability like no other service in the world. For $50 off your first month, mention Sound Mind and Body when calling 516-456-6248 or by visiting mybodytutor.com. Sound Mind and Body is also brought to you in part by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/inbound.
Hello, and welcome to Sound Mind and Body, a podcast where we talk to inspiring people about the many different ways to stay healthy, balanced, and well of mind, body, and spirit in today's crazy world with a dash of woo-woo. I'm your host, Sheila Melody, and today we're going to get practical and talk about a topic that most people don't like to deal with, legal issues. And more specifically, the legalities involved in business. My guest today is Cory Sterling, an attorney who is taking an entirely new direction with lawyering, and he calls his company Conscious Counsel. They are leading the way in new lawyering for creative, ambitious, and passionate business owners with a mission to transform the legal service industry out of its archaic, overwhelming, and intimidating status to an informed, approachable, and fun practice. Well, that sounds great to me. So welcome, Cory Sterling.
Hey, Sheila. Thank you so much for having me.
I just want to first say, I think you are so unique. And let's just tell everybody a little bit how we met. We met through Instagram, just by somebody liking somebody else's, post and hashtags. Maybe I did a hashtag about consciousness or something. I can't really remember, but I remember seeing your company and going, oh my gosh, Conscious Counsel. This is so cool, because I have a little bit of a history working for attorneys. And I just thought this was so unique. And then we got in touch, and I'm very excited to have you on the podcast now.
Thank you very much. And yes, social media is a real thing. And it's pretty cool how small the world can be when you're able to connect with like-minded people and see people doing amazing things through imagery and words. And it was cool to hear a little bit about your background and your experiences working in law, and even how the name of the podcast took form, which I liked quite a bit. So the world is smaller than it's ever been, and personal connection can be a bit challenging, even though the parameters of the world have gotten smaller. But all in all, I'm extremely grateful to the internet because we are able to have connected and speak today.
Yes. So let's talk about your unique law practice. What led you to create this? And, I just think it's brilliant, actually. And I'm really hoping that other people, continue with your direction, in your direction. So let's talk about that. How did you get started, and how did you decide to just do this differently?
I decided to do it differently. Like most entrepreneurs, I saw that what was happening could be done a little bit better and a little bit more heart-leading. The actual story of how it all began is I went to a yoga class with one of my favorite instructors in Vancouver, and I took the class, and it was taking place outside of a studio, and we didn't have to sign a waiver, and it was pretty dangerous, and someone ended up getting hurt.
Oh my gosh.
Which sucked. And then in Shavasana, I just kept thinking about waivers and liability. And I went up to speak to my instructor afterwards, and I said, do you understand the implications of what took place in here and what that could mean? The instructor being having a small family, a small business with a child. And I said, it's quite a serious thing. And they were really unable to grasp the concept in a very practical way. So I think the consciousness side came from seeing that there are a lot of heart-leading business owners out there who are building community and doing all the right things that we love and making the world a better place. And they've just never interacted with the law or experienced it. So that's one part of where it came from. So I'm seeing like And then I just had more and more conversations with people doing amazing things and asking them what their legal was like, and realizing they didn't really have a legal strategy, which as a lawyer was difficult to hear, but also quite inspiring. The other reason of how all of this began is that there were a lot of inefficiencies I found in the way that people were dealing with lawyers. So as you mentioned, it's a bit of an archaic industry. And on top of that, it's something that has always been done the same way. There are certain precedents and so a precedent is a document that basically is a template that everyone will use moving forward. And what I found is that people were very afraid to break away from using a particular precedent or document or template. And they just thought, oh, if I just change this and if it doesn't work, and I was just like, screw it. Let's communicate openly and honestly. Let's say, hey, this is actually what my intentions are in our particular relationship. And in doing so, you realize that you can encourage people to communicate openly and honestly, and they can use their own voice while dictating their legal terms, which to me just sounded like a lot of fun, to be honest, Sheila.
I know, I have never actually heard that explained in that context before, where you talk about branding legal documents, and to be able to, like you just said, in a legal and very, practical way, be able to just express yourself exactly how you want your business to be and how you want to interact with your client is like, I've just never heard about that before.
It's a real thing. And I'm sure you can appreciate in your business, as you touched on, people put their entire lives into this.
Yes.
And what's most important. So I just did a talk at the Toronto Yoga Show talking about yoga law. And what I say to people is like, look, just think about the law as a series of relationships. And the truth is, if a relationship is going to be bad for you from the start, there's no point to even enter into it. Now, the question is, Sheila, how do you understand if a relationship is bad for you from the start? You say how you actually feel and what your expectations are and what your intentions are.
Okay.
And often when I work with clients, those will be the most difficult conversations they have to have. And part of running a heart-leading business is being comfortable in discomfort and saying, look, I really want to work with you. These are my terms. This is how it's going to work. And and let's figure out right now whether or not this is a fit or not.
Right.
The current issue in the legal system, or how people use documents, is they don't understand their documents. So I worked at a really big law firm and a smaller law firm, and clients would come in and pay a lot of money and for these documents and then sign them, but not really understand what they meant.
Well, yeah, I think that happens like most of the time. Even just signing that waiver, it's like you don't really read it. Nobody really reads it,
Correct. I know that no one really reads it. And that's, as a lawyer, it's sort of like being a chef at a restaurant, thinking that no one will eat your food, but you can control whatever you can control in your life. But for me, just more on the consumer side, seeing people not be able to freely communicate in their relationships. And that's the real opportunity that we have on the new frontier of offering legal services.
I love that take on it. It's looking at it like a relationship. It's usually just like, oh, our Lord made us do this so we don't get sued, or, you know what I mean? It's just always from a negative context rather than like you just said, let's just be transparent and talk about what, is this going to be beneficial for both of us?
It's empowering more than anything else.
Empowering.
In law school, they teach us that the law can be used as a sword or as a shield. So it's either going to be protective and protect your business and protect your brand, or it could be expansive and an opportunity to grow your business in a really intelligent way. And the opportunity that I have to work with clients to do those things lights me up. And that's like my woo-woo. That's where I get my woo-woo from. So,
I love that. That's so good.
I love it too. I really do.
So when you specialize in yoga law and like fitness companies, so tell me a little bit about how that might be different than a regular business. Like, how is it uniquely different?
Well, Sheila, in many ways, it's exactly the same thing, because all of these, while it may be a passion project, ultimately at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So you have numbers and you have liabilities and you have assets, and you have relationships. So in many ways, what we're doing is we're offering basic corporate legal principles and services to these companies. How it's different is the way in which we do it.
Right.
So it's sort of like when a child doesn't want to eat vegetables, you find a really creative way to get them to eat vegetables.
Right.
And for me, when I work with these people, I'm trying to find really creative ways to have them adopt best legal practices. So it's different in the sense that also most of the clients I work with don't have a legal education background. And most of them are, again, to emphasize the heart leading aspect, very passion driven, very community, very sometimes selfless, sometimes just do things for others, and which is beautiful. But they're also different from working with mining companies, or I always use mining companies as my example.
Oh, really?
of the opposite end of the spectrum, but
total opposite end.
Yeah, in the other clients I've had working at other firms, they understand the law a lot more, and they're more familiar with it, and they've adopted a lot of these practices before. So in some ways, it's unique because in working with yoga professionals and fitness studios and fitness professionals, it's like teaching them how to walk down the legal road. It's like going slowly and being patient and being supportive. But everyone has their own contribution to the world. And at this point in time, it's something that I'm very happy to do.
You're making it user-friendly.
User-friendly is the best.
I love that. So we're going to take a little break right now. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about your latest 7-month travel around the world and how you maintain doing business during that.
I can't wait.
Hey everyone, Sheila here to tell you about a very special offer from My Body Tutor, a weight loss program that is 100% guaranteed. Yes, you heard that right. 100% guaranteed. I interviewed Adam Gilbert, founder of My Body Tutor, on episode 19. And I was so impressed with this program that I asked Adam how we could work together. And he is now offering our listeners $50 off the first month. Plus, he offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you really have nothing to lose except some of that stubborn weight. And you know you want to lose those few pounds, right? I certainly did. I signed up, and after 1 week, I lost 2 pounds. I'm so excited. So try it. Go to mybodytutor.com and sign up. Tell them Sound Mind and Body referred you, and you will immediately be credited $50. Or go to the show notes on this podcast, and the link will be there. And it's also on my website, soundmindbodypodcast.com. Let me know if you're signing up. We'll do this together. mybodytutor.com.
Hey, it's Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network and producer of Sound, Mind, and Body. Just the fact that you're listening to the Sound, Mind, and Body podcast tells us that you enjoy consuming your content through your ears. Now, if you're a podcast listener, you're a perfect fit to enjoy audiobooks. So for you, our listeners and official members of Sheila's woo-woo community, Audible is offering you a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial to check out their awesome service. Give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose. It's absolutely free for 30 days, and you get a free audiobook to keep even if you don't continue with the subscription. Support Sound, Mind, and Body by visiting audibletrial.com/inbound. That's audibletrial.com/inbound. We'll include a link in the show notes, or just click the Audible banner at soundmindbodypodcast.com.
On the next episode of Sound, Mind, and Body, we welcome back Dr. Sandeep Kapoor. You might remember we interviewed him on episode 7, but this time he will be talking about functional medicine.
There are different tools. We call it a toolbox.
And this is with the functional medicine.
The functional matrix really is asking you, what was your 20s like? What had happened? Did you have any, events? Because you want to find triggers. We want to find triggers for illness.
I see.
Along the way. And then we also want to find out what mediates and what makes them better. What in your life changed that made it better or worse. And, that way, if we start to look at unfold the whole picture, we don't have to ask the question, well, what are you here for? Or what's wrong with you?
That's next week on Sound Mind and Body. Okay, we're back and we're talking to Cory Sterling of Conscious Counsel, a conscious attorney, which we don't normally hear those two words said together. But so Cory, before we took the break, we were talking about your specialty, which is yoga law and fitness law. And you're writing a book on yoga law, right?
Yes, I've finished a yoga law book. The running title is The Yoga Law Book. So I really went out of the box to come up with that one. And I did so because I just wanted to be very clear about what it is. And basically, the book is divided into 3 sections. The first section has to do with a paradigm shift of offering legal services. Mm-hmm. And just to take one step back, the book is basically the conversation that I have with every new client. So I just found that I was telling the same stories over and over again about basic legal principles, and thought, why not expand the reach and why not share it with more people so that they can learn and implement. So the first part has to do with shifting the paradigm of legal services, telling people what life as a lawyer really is like. Like, it's not like Suits. You may be surprised to hear that. But basically, we draft a lot of documents, if you're a solicitor at least. And then I go into the different structures and relationships that you'll have in law. So choosing a corporate structure, what a waiver of liability needs, whether or not someone is an independent contractor or an employee, dealing with intellectual property and trademarks. And basically, in each chapter, firstly, I'm very proud I don't use the word contract. So I've written it 100% in plain English. And each chapter is broken down into, if you remember one thing, so you literally could pick up the book and just get one really important principle that I know would make a difference in how you legally operate your business. And then I share some basic legal principles. And every chapter has a story of me and one of my clients and how they either did what they were supposed to do or didn't do what they were supposed to do, and what happened as a result. And I do that because I just want people to know, like, look, it's a really simple, basic thing you have to do to prevent yourself from running a really big problem. So why not here's a story, someone else screwed up, you don't have to. Let's move forward and do something awesome with it. And then the last 2 chapters I call Putting It All Together. So I share a personal story about building a yoga festival and and all the legal implications of doing that. Oh. And then I also talk about running a retreat and a teacher training.
That is wonderful.
It's very common. Great. Thank you very much. It's very common in the professional yoga space that people will either be doing a yoga event like a festival or a retreat and a teacher training. And there's all sorts of issues that pop up. And the final 2 chapters are sort of a harmonization of all of the principles learned.
Wow.
The reason why it's called the Yoga Law Book is because it's particularly catered towards the yoga community. Once I finish the Yoga Law Book, I'll write the Fitness Law Book. But as a fitness professional, you could pick it up, and everything that's written applies exactly the same to someone who owns a fitness studio. Right. And all I've done is I've put in yoga terms and yoga stories and things that anyone, again, coming back to feeding the children the vegetables, someone who's a yogi can pick it up and would really be able to feel comfortable. I want people to feel comfortable with the law.
That is wonderful.
It applies to both, but in terms of really working myself into that community and working with that community, the book was written just for yoga, because it would be really confusing to write for both, I think.
It sounds wonderful. I mean, yeah, because personal trainers, we don't normally do retreats. We might be getting into teacher training, or personal, trainer training, whatever you want to call it. So I will have to talk to you soon.
We're talking right now, but I don't think our listeners would be too interested in those.
No, they don't want to hear about all that kind of stuff. But so what they do want to hear about, though, I think is, and what I want to hear about is that you recently took a 7-month trip to, India and Taiwan and Tibet or I don't know, 7 months you were traveling far away from Canada. And tell us about that and how you were able to continue working the entire time.
I would be happy to share that. And I want to start with a little story that took place yesterday. So I went for a workout with one of my buddies who I haven't seen in a while. And the first thing he said to me he's like, oh, hey, Cory, how was your 7-month vacation? And I was like, bro, I've been on my laptop working every single day. So it's what's really funny. Sometimes the outward perception of traditional thinking is that, oh, because someone is out of the country, roaming the world, living all over the place, they're on vacation, where in fact, I completely built my business during the course of my 7-month trip. And I'm sure you can appreciate it's difficult to sum up 7 months into a couple of words, but it was a very, very beautiful, adventurous, fun, unpredictable trip where I scrambled to get Wi-Fi in the most random places possible to work with my clients. And I was in the India subcontinent for about 4 months. I went to Everest Base Camp in Nepal. I was in India for 3 months. I lived in an ashram. I was in Sri Lanka for a month doing a bit of surfing. I was in Vipassana for a bit of time. I went to Bangladesh, which was wild. And before that, I was in the Middle East, in Cyprus and Qatar and Israel at a festival in the desert.
Wow.
And I was in Europe before that. Yeah, it was just, it was such a beautiful adventure. And I met so many wonderful people and I learned so much. I learned so much about myself, and I learned about growing a business, and I learned about discipline. And the world's a really beautiful place. And most importantly in that story for me, I left being uncertain about what would happen.
Oh, really?
So I left in September, and I thought, okay, God willing, I'll have enough clients so I could, at least make it until October. And then I just kept working and kept doing things, and the universe provides, as the old saying goes. And I was able to have some of my best months come on the road. And now I believe it reaffirmed my belief that I can do anything, but I know that the process wouldn't have been started or accelerated unless I went.
Yeah. Wow. That is really inspiring. You need to write a book about that, about doing that.
I have a lot of books that I could write. Definitely.
Or at least an article. Write an article about that.
Yeah, I think I will. I think if I were to write something, I would write about, 10 countries and 10 lessons that I learned.
Oh,
because
cool.
It's also there's so many different things, right? There's the cultural aspects at play, arriving to a new place, being a respectful traveler, meeting local people, learning about their religions, learning about their traditions. And that combined with having a laptop that you open up and suddenly I'm drafting legal documents, or I'm working on proposals and doing all of these things. So it was such a range of emotions. But Sheila, what I'm glad to share, what I got at the end is an incredible constancy in my life, where no matter it gave me a real belief and feeling of grounding that wherever I am, I know I can do whatever needs to be done. And there's something very empowering to that, which I'm super grateful for.
That is wonderful. How inspiring. So can you come up with, what is the weirdest place that you were with your laptop and drafting a legal document?
I was doing something really fun at the start where I kept an ongoing document of everywhere that I had done work. And it just got to be a little bit too strange. Okay, I'll say if it had to be the most random, I was in the back of a rickshaw in Dhaka in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is my gem of the trip, because I can tell you I've been to I think 83 countries, and Bangladesh was the most different from everywhere else. Just wild. And I was in the back of a rickshaw with an older gentleman cycling an old bicycle with this rickety roof over us, and I had to get something done. And in Dhaka, there's terrible traffic, so it takes 2 hours to go anywhere in the city. And I just didn't. Sometimes you don't have a choice. I was like, well, I'm just going to open up my laptop and start doing work here. And obviously, everyone was looking at me, and the guy driving me was having such a blast. But you, again, like I said, you learn to do whatever it takes, and you learn that you can deal with any circumstance that comes up. But for sure.
Did you have a Wi-Fi hotspot thing, that you traveled with so that you always had connection?
I was gone for 7 months. For the first 4 months, I did not.
Oh, so you just had to find Wi-Fi.
I would have to, which became to be an adventure. And then I'm also, we don't know each other for too long, but I used to be, I think I only got a cell phone once I started becoming a lawyer.
Oh, you're kidding.
So, yeah. And I've traveled a lot, and I've had social media for about a year and a bit. So all of this is new for me.
Oh my gosh.
So I love all of my traveling experiences have been really without Wi-Fi or without a phone. But now it's funny when you're a business owner and when something's at stake, you realize like, okay, I can have Wi-Fi if it means that I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want to.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I saw some of your posts on Instagram when you were still out of the country. And I wouldn't have thought that you just started that a year ago. You're pretty good at it.
I'm very lucky. I work with a girl named Lauren Saylor. Mm-hmm. She has a business called Set Sailor, and she's been extremely helpful in getting it going. And I totally have to say that at Conscious Counsel, there's a friend named Simona, and her title is organizer. Oh. And being able to work with Simona during the time that I was gone was extremely helpful. And it takes a village to make everything work, and we support each other, and she did a great job. So teamwork is as important to it as anything else.
So do you have an office, or do you guys all just work remotely? I know in your video that's on your site, which is consciouscounsel.ca for Canada, right?
That's it.
That you have a video where you're like, I didn't want to sit in a boardroom and wear a suit, so you're walking through the forest with a dog, and, it just looks so, like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have an office even?
It's a real thing. I definitely do not have a brick and mortar office.
Who needs it, right?
Who needs it? I don't have an office. And what I do, it's cool how that video was the first idea or iteration of how I saw client services going. And now it continues to evolve. But what's awesome is I just got a new client yesterday, and we're going to go do yoga together and chat. And she was used to working with typical lawyers. So she's like, oh, is there a consult fee? And do we have to meet downtown? I was like, look, we'll do yoga. We'll drink tea afterwards. You'll tell me what's up. Because Sheila, at the end of the day, you have to be a real person.
Yes.
And the other thing that I've learned, a massive tip to anyone who's listening, and I hope this may be helpful, is you really have to do things your own way in order to attract the type of people who you're meant to work with.
Right.
And I've only learned that because there were so many times where I was trying to fit myself into a box in someone else's idea of how things should be done. And only once I truly realized, look, Cory, be yourself, offer the services that you feel are most important, and do it in a way that's right, and people will come. And it's the crazy thing about email and client inbounding is just people just show up. Somehow they show up, and I believe, if anything, it's because I'm being myself, and I'm being a real person. Look, we don't have to have a meeting. We can do yoga and drink tea. We're still going to be talking about stuff.
You need to come down to LA, and I'll take you through a high intensity strength training, set, and then we'll discuss our legal documents.
I promise you, we are going to do that.
Okay.
And then we'll take a picture, and we'll put it on the interweb so everyone knows that we kept our word.
Okay, we're going to do it. So, all right, now we're going to find out, we haven't known each other very long, so let's find out a little bit more about you. So how do you stay of sound mind and body in your daily life?
Okay, I'm a breather. I call it breathing. I know people call it meditation.
I'm a breather.
But breathing is a big part of my day, and the difference, there's such a discernible difference in the days when I make time to breathe versus the days that I don't, that I know that breathing's probably the most important thing that I can do on a daily basis.
Like breath work type of breathing?
No, you know what? I was in
or just conscious breathing.
I picked up a technique when I was in Vipassana. I didn't complete Vipassana, but I was there long enough to just watch I'll close my eyes and I'll inhale and exhale through the nose. And I just visualize the air entering the front of the nose and exiting out of the nose. And I have a rotation where I'll do that for about 3 minutes to get into the parasympathetic state. And then I have different affirmations I'll do. So when I was in the ashram in India, they taught us a beautiful one where when you inhale, you say, I love myself. And then you exhale. Then you inhale and you say, I love my life. And then you exhale. And then you inhale and you say, I love this world. So I'll do that 3 or 4 times. And then I also have an affirmation where like I'll commit to loving everyone around me unconditionally as much as possible. It's a great reminder to check in with that. And then after that, I'll like, if there's something I'm working on or a project, like this morning, it was focus. So I have a bunch of meetings today, and I really want to focus and make sure that I can bring value and be present to all of them. And then and then it's really cool. So I bought on the App Store, it used to be an alarm that would go off, which was like, so jarring from being in this mental space. And there's a really cute alarm buzzer on the App Store that's Yoda's voice. And he says, do or do not, there is no try. Do or do not, there is no try. And that's like, that makes me smile every time.
Oh my gosh. So that's your alarm after your 3 minutes, or how many, is it just 3 minutes that you do?
No, I'll try to do 15 minutes twice a day.
Oh, okay.
And if I can, I always know something's better than nothing. So I'll do 6 or 7 or 11, any of those magic numbers. So breathing's big, and exercise changes every day. Exercise, you can be a certain way. And then for me, if I sweat and work out, I'll feel completely different. And also, I've been a vegan for a year and 4 months or so, and food's a really important thing. My relationship with food changed during my time living in the ashram. When you live in the ashram, you have to eat in silence. You're not allowed to communicate with anyone. You're not allowed to have a screen or read anything, and you have to chew each mouthful 32 times. And my relationship with food changed completely during that month. Wow. So I would say probably food, breathing, and physical exercise are what keep me of mind. Yeah.
Of sound, mind, and body.
Of sound, mind, and body. That's it.
Those are really unique and very interesting tips. I've never heard any of those before. And I might try to incorporate that breathing, and I love that.
If you want to chat, I'm happy to chat more and however I can help. Okay,
thank you. So, all right, what's a favorite sound of yours besides Yoda? Telling you that.
Yoda's a great sound. I think my favorite, I was thinking about this because I've listened to some other podcasts. I know it's a question. My dad has like this weird sort of laugh, like like people have that sort of those weird noises. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's breath or maybe it's raindrops in spring. But my dad's one of my biggest role models, and someone who I love spending time with, and someone who I look up to, and someone who, alongside my mother, who's taught me so much in life. So I think it's like, it would be that weird laugh that my dad has is my favorite. Oh my
gosh. That is so great. I love it. Okay. A favorite memory.
A favorite memory. Wow. A favorite memory. Okay. So last year I put on a yoga festival with my co-founder, Ashley. And we had a team as well, with Justin, Britt, and Joffer. And it was like, listen, putting on a festival when you have no idea if anyone's going to show up. You have no idea what's going to happen, how many things are going to go wrong. And on the festival was it was Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And on the Saturday, all of the classes ended at 5:30, and a reggae band called Feeling the One Drop came on. And I remember just like standing with Ashley, we were both holding beer, and we just like cheers with the beer. And it was like, holy crap, it actually happened. And I think that's one of my favorite memories.
I love it. I can see it.
It happens.
So great when you think of something and then you actually accomplish it. Isn't it a great feeling?
It's a wonderful feeling. And also, to be honest, the cool part about it is that we were able to facilitate an experience for so many people. Like that's what's rad about festivals. And I went through a period where I went to a bunch of festivals and consistently came back having the best time of my life with people who are now my best friends. And if you can pay that forward and do that for other people, to me, it's the
ultimate.
Yeah. The fact that people get to come and meet other people because of something that we work on is really special.
It makes you keep going to the next time.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's a favorite place?
A favorite place. Oh my God. A favorite place.
To many.
I've been to a lot. I'll throw this out there. So one of my buddies, his name is Ricardo Alejandro Ramirez Pereira. And he's from a town called Bucaramanga in Colombia.
I want to meet him. From what's it called?
Bucaramanga.
Where?
In Colombia.
Oh, Colombia. Okay.
So Bucaramanga is known as La Ciudad de Mil Parques, the city of 1,000 parks, because it's very green. But Richie, my traveling has evolved a lot, and I've fallen in love with South America many times. But Ricardo was the first one who brought me to South America and to Colombia to learn about like Latino lifestyle and really live it. And the apartment that he lives in with his parents there, or that his parents have, he now lives in Abu Dhabi. That is like a favorite place. Like I had a home in Bucaramanga, Colombia, and felt so comfortable there, and ate such delicious food that his mom cooks. And thinking about my life, that's one of my favorite places.
Sounds amazing. All right, the ultimate question. What's the most woo-woo thing you've ever done?
The most woo-woo thing that I've ever done in my life as a human being. Okay, as a human being, can I split them? Because they're so similar.
What do you mean, as a human being and as an astral being?
No, I was just trying to buy myself time. So I was
okay.
As a human being. I think, okay, so I'm gonna split them and I'll make them both quick, but I went to Iceland by myself in June around summer equinox, which is when the sun is up for 24 hours in Iceland. And I rented a bicycle from Reykjavik, and I did a week-long cycling tour of this peninsula called Snæfellsnes. And I just had my bicycle and a tent and a sleeping bag for a week. And it was sunlight 24 hours. And what I did was I would sleep during the day because it's light anyways. Mm-hmm. And then I did all of my cycling from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., riding about 100 kilometers a day or so. And that Iceland is epic. It was like another planet and no one was around.
Wow.
Like just Icelandic horses and waterfalls and geysers and beaches. And it was like something that I loved the most. And like my other woo-woo with that, like, because there's two woo-woos. So one woo is Iceland. The other woo.
Okay, you got it.
The other woo was the same trip a similar trip in New Zealand, where I started in Auckland and I went to Waiheke Island, and I went from Auckland to the south of the North Island. And I think that was also a week or 10 days, just cycling every day, camping outside, meeting strangers. Like you have to work so hard, your body gets so tired, and the nature is so incredible. So I guess in a very introspective moment, as I look back, those are two trips that totally changed my life and were pretty woo-woo.
Wow. Sounds really woo-woo.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's pretty woo.
Well, it sounds like you're creating your woo-woo every day through your law practice, and you're actually helping other people facilitate their woo-woo too. So thank you, Cory. You are unique and much needed in this world, I believe.
Thank you very much. And the reason why there's two woos is because one woo is for you and one woo is for the people that you help.
Yeah,
totally. That's why it's woo-woo. But one thing I'm very cognizant of is that life is short and unpredictable, and that we ultimately control very little of what actually happens to us. So enjoy every day, help other people, and enjoy the ride.
Thank you so much, Cory. This has been very inspirational, and it makes me really happy to know that people like you are in the world.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And I'm so stoked to know you as well and your beautiful community. And let's just spread the seed and keep sharing positivity.
Well, that's it for this episode. So we hope you learned that you can not only be heart leading, but you can also be very conscious about legal matters. Thank you, Cory Sterling. So, what's the most woo-woo thing you've ever done? Email us or send us a voice memo to podcast@soundmindbodypodcast.com, and we'll read it or play it on the show. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like the podcast, please give us a review on iTunes. It really helps new listeners find us. Thank you to our producer, Tim Edwards, and the Inbound Podcasting Network. And thank you to our guest, Cory Sterling of Conscious Counsel. Get in touch. I'm on Instagram at Sound Mind Body Podcast, or find us on the web or on Facebook. Search for Sound Mind Body Podcast. I'm Sheila Melody. Join us next week as we explore, enlighten, and evolve.